And I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
I stay out too late. That's what people say.
Mr. Walsh, we were talking about the 3 different times that you spoke to police,
correct?
Yeah. It's fair that from the very beginning, the first time you talked to police, you told police that you and Mrs. Crumbley had had an extramarital affair, correct?
Correct.
You told police from the very beginning your relationship with Mrs. Crumbley involved a sexual relationship, correct? And so when you're in here testifying, it's fair to say that law enforcement talked to you about the affair right after the shooting. You told them all about it, right? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Judge, I think counsel needs to be specific. She's saying law enforcement is using general terms, and she needs to be specific when asking this witness question.
Well, there's a lot of different law enforcement, so it probably would be good to be specific.
The first detective that you had an interview with, you told him that you and Mrs. Crumbley had a sexual relationship.
Yes.
But again, identify who she was speaking to.
Do you recall who was the first, which officer are you talking about?
Which one am I talking about?
Yeah, the first, you're asking him
Sure.
about the first one who interviewed him. I'm assuming you know who that is. There's lots of law enforcement.
I know, which is why I have the name, but...
Okay. Do you remember who it was initially, Mr. Walsh? Okay.
Got nothing in my brain.
It appears to be Lieutenant Weir. Does that sound correct? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You talked to Brian Joseph the first time, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, does it sound right if I said you spoke to Brian, the name
of the next witness?
Brian Malash.
Oh, Brian Malash.
Brian Joseph Malash, BRIANMELOCHE.
Okay, does it sound right if I said Brian I'm saying your name. Okay,
I never miss a beat.
And you agreed to it?
I did, and since that time, I've read the whole thing and I'm ready to go with it. What he's saying is that he's not ready to go with it, even though he moved to admit it, and even though it was days ago that he moved to admit
Just to
it.
correct the record, we moved for a redacted copy and for counsel to specify exactly what portion is redacted in accordance with your order,
And
Judge.
the next day I got back to them, which was days ago, and I said...
Because the walls are paper, sorry, the jury can
I'm lightning on my feet.
hear you.
I got back to them the day after, and I said, we're not asking for any redactions. They said, fine. We made a record with...
But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop grooving.
As a parent, are you a failure as a parent?
I don't think I'm a failure as a parent. As a parent, you spend your whole life trying to protect your child from other dangers.
Doing it, do you look back and think that?
No, I don't. I mean, of course I look back after this all happened, and I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
I'll make the moves up as I go.
And in this case, it was not foreseeable. It was nowhere on their radar until after the fact, and through the lens of 2020, they were able to start seeing things that they looked back on that were missteps and things that they wish they could change.
And that's what they don't know.
And I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
And that's what they don't know.
You guys ask us whatever questions you need.
Thank you for that.
I mean, because obviously...
And it's the court, not you guys, by the way.
Obviously, and because I know that you guys have read our brief so extensively.
All right, let's proceed.
Okay.
Bring it all in.
Shake it off, shake it off.
A discipline issue with respect to Ethan, to Mrs. Crumbley's son. A discipline.
The next message you send was, think we might have found, don't know, just heads up, please check. And then you wrote in quick succession, Don't know, 11:16 p.m. We might have been found, 11:16 p.m. Laying low, 11:16 p.m. Response from Shannon, oh shit.